All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming today and joining us to chat with Debleena Das, our amazing MSITM class of 2021 graduate. So today I'll have a few questions that I'll prompt Debleena with, but the goal is to have her share as much information and insight as she can about the program and her experience and all kinds of fun insights and maybe some advice she might have. So first, also I'm Caryn Conley. I'm the program director for the MSITM program, and I've been involved in the program since the beginning, and we're really excited to be able to chat with some alumni this semester and learn more about, from their perspective, what MSITM can offer. So Debleena, if you could share a little bit with us about who you are, what your role is, and specifically kind of what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Conley. So I'm excited to be here. I graduated this past May with an MSITM degree, and then I also got my undergrad degree in public health at UT, so both UT grads. And then I am currently a consulting analyst at Deloitte, and I work in the government and public services sector. So right now on my state project, I'm focused on working with the project management side of things and supporting the cloud team and the customer portal team. So what that means is basically making sure that the team is on track to submit deliverables that are due to the client and making sure that they are good to go, that they're QA'd, and then also making sure that if there's anything that the team is behind on, so if there's maybe like a late task, it's my responsibility to raise that risk and get it escalated to the leadership of our team, and also start creating a plan of how to mitigate that. So it's a lot of moving parts, but working with a bunch of teams, kind of similar to how we did in the MSITM program, and really getting kind of a holistic view of how this state project is working on Medicaid transformation. So that would be what I do on a day-to-day basis. I would say it's probably a lot of core consulting skills. So I update a lot of PowerPoints and Excels for our status reports, and then for our work plans. And then because it's still a Zoom environment, it's a lot of emails and a lot of Skype pings. So that is kind of how consulting is right now, because travel isn't fully back yet.
Awesome. Well, let's talk more about consulting. Did you know that you wanted to do consulting when you graduated, and what kind of opportunities are there for MSITM students who are interested in consulting roles?
Yeah, so I knew just starting the program that I wanted to recruit for consulting, and because the recruitment starts pretty early, around August, September, that was like my main focus. So I think the program really helped me be focused and really get me prepared to the caliber of consulting recruiting that is required. We had Friday sessions with Allison from Career Services, and those were really helpful. We had a lot of just info sessions with companies that would come in and talk about their opportunities. And then there was also coffee chats, which I think were a great opportunity to just have a one-on-one chat with people who were actually recruiting. I think the biggest thing that helped me was the resources that we had through McCombs. The management consulted resources, that was really key, because I didn't know what a case interview was going in. So it was kind of like a crash course of like, okay, I need to figure out what this is and how to do one, because now I have an interview. So that was helpful. And then the other thing was just the Recruit McCombs portal. So getting to just drop your resume with a bunch of companies at once and just casting my net wide was helpful in just that consulting, the intense consulting recruiting that happens early on. And then you mentioned the opportunities for MSITM students. So I think because it's management and IT, you can recruit for traditional management consulting, but also more on the technical side. And I think that's what makes MSITM special, is because you are able to recruit for the technical side. If I had done some of the other MS programs, I don't think I would have gotten interviews for some more technical consulting positions. So I think it opens your opportunities much more.
Awesome. Can you tell us why you wanted to get an MSITM degree?
Yeah, so I would say I have kind of a untraditional background. I graduated with a public health degree, and I initially was pre-med and wanted to go to medical school. So a lot of my core classes that I was taking were core science classes. So I was craving more of a technical education after graduation, because I kind of pivoted and wanted to go more in the healthcare IT side of things. And I realized I didn't have the IT part. So I had the healthcare, no IT. And I think the management side also adds that core business element, which is needed in any career. And it really gives you that just extra edge versus if I had gotten like a master's of science in computer science. It adds the business side of things. So that's really where I wanted to specialize in, the healthcare and the business, where those intersect. So that's where the MSITM kind of fit perfectly. And right now, where I'm working in the government and public services side of things, it kind of meshes all two of my degrees together, where it's public health, management, and then IT. So it worked out great for me.
So one of the requirements to be successful in the program is to have some sort of programming and database background. You don't have to, like, clearly you don't have to be a computer science major to be successful in the program. But where did you sort of pick up any sort of technical skills that gave you that foundation to join the program?
Yeah, so I would say my experience pre-MSITM was limited when it comes to technical skills. My main exposure was to R and then a bit of Python. I would say the thing I learned most is from my peers and pair programming from my peers. And once I was actually in the program, I was definitely one of those people who didn't really have the technical skills, so I was struggling. But I think leaning on my peers and just being okay to ask for help, that was really key in how I learned, because it was kind of like a do or die situation. It's like, I have to learn this or I'm not going to submit my homework. So that was, it was stressful, but I will say if a public health major can do it, you can definitely do it. You would definitely need to brush up on those key languages like Python before starting your classes, because it is pretty intense. But I would say a lot of it was learning on the job for me.
Is there anything that you, like, looking back, wish you had done prior to join the program on the technical side?
Yeah, definitely like boot camps on Python, and then probably looking at the syllabus or reaching out to professors and asking specifically things that I could, some resources that I could brush up on. That would have been helpful, because a lot of the projects are very hands-on, and the learning curve of actually learning the language and then trying to do like the project or helping your teammates is quite a lot in the period of time that you have. So definitely doing that ahead of time would have been very helpful.
So given that you're a public health major, what do you think, sort of what qualities or skills did you have from your background that helped you be successful in the program? Because it is a technical program, but the program isn't just about, I mean, it is about building things, but it's not just your ability to write code.
Right. So I think my public health skills came into play because of just my people skills. So the soft skills. even if I wasn't the most technical person on a project, I was able to do more of the project management side and make sure that our team was working well, that we were able to debug things on time, that we were able to work on the deliverables that were due. So a lot of times the technical people don't want to work on that. So I was always happy to do that. And I think I learned quite a lot just from my peers who were maybe really more on like the development side of things. But I was also able to learn skills that I'm using right now on my job, where I work with senior managers and I work with like dev teams and I work with the client. So I think that's what was really key, is just, just basic soft skills that came into play.
Awesome. How do you think the MSITM program helped you earn your position at Deloitte?
I think I've been mentioning those group projects, but those gave some real life examples of how you work in teams, how you're able to overcome obstacles and solve hard problems. And during interviews, you have those examples at hand. So even if you didn't have internships in consulting like I didn't have a consulting internship, but I could talk very clearly of how I'm using consulting skills in my education and how I'm learning about maybe change management in my classes. So how it's like very directly related to the job that I want. I think that was key. And then again, I mentioned before the Recruit McCombs portal, the management consulted resource, and then just in general, the MS programs and how they support you.
Awesome. So I'm going to go back a little bit, and we talked about you did your undergrad at UT. Did you come straight into the MSITM program, or did you work before and then come back?
No, I went straight in. So I graduated 2020, COVID year, and then went straight into MSITM in July.
Or another COVID year.
Yeah, another COVID year.
So you came from a public health background. Do you remember some of the backgrounds of your peers that you were in the program with? And what was it like being in a program with a diverse cohort?
Yeah, so I think grad school is a little bit interesting where it's not just undergrads. So I got to have classmates who had already gone into the workforce and they were coming back to grad school to get an additional degree and maybe changing career paths because they really wanted to go into data science and they wanted a very specific role. So I think that was really refreshing to just learn from those older peers or experienced peers, because they had a different perspective on the classes. They had real world experience and could actually speak to how the skills we were learning in the classroom could be applied. And I wasn't really looking at it that way at first. I was kind of like, oh, this is a great degree. It's giving me a lot of exposure to things that I didn't have in undergrad. But the way that you can tailor that degree to a specific role was really cool. I would also say there were people who came in straight from undergrad who did MIS, and that was also really cool. It was nice to see that we were all able to work together on those group projects. So regardless of experience level or technical experience, we still were able to deliver what we needed to and make great grades. So that was really reassuring that the skills that even as a public health major, those are still applicable to any role in any situation.
So one of the neat things I think about MSITM and our other MS programs is this cohort experience. And so that means that when you join the program, you are with the same group of people and you take basically all of your classes together. You move from class to class. There's one section of each offered until you get to electives, of course. Can you talk more about sort of that cohort experience especially were you able to build those bonds with your peers, even though we were basically remote for your entire program? And what does that mean to you going forward with your career?
Yeah, so I would say that the cohort experience was really great because of maybe a smaller class size, and that led to making stronger relationships with your peers. So that also kind of correlated to a unique experience with your professors, because you got to have like one-on-ones with them and they could answer your questions directly, versus maybe in a bigger class size that wouldn't have been possible. I think another thing that was really great about it is, even though we were virtual and we were doing, we weren't really meeting in person, because we had those multiple group projects and activities that we were meeting different people from our cohort. And we got very close because we were spending like, I don't know, like 8 hours on Zoom together. And yeah, so that was definitely like a bonding experience. And then how it's changed, or how it's changed my career outlook. I think everyone had like their different path. So I chose consulting, but other people chose more like roles that were like data engineering, or maybe product management. So it was cool to see people branch off into different fields in the industry. And now I'm thinking, just 6 months into consulting, that maybe one day I would want to go into product management. And I have that network now of people who, I don't know, are working at TikTok in product management. So I've been able to create connections in just this industry that I wasn't able to say 2 years ago when I wasn't in the program.
Awesome. So outside of academics, what did you learn from the MSITM program that has helped you in your career?
I think the biggest thing was probably communication skills. So because we were virtual, things can obviously get lost in translation, and you kind of had to over communicate. And now working a virtual job, it's almost like a direct translation of like doing those capstone projects where we were working with a real life client and in a Zoom environment, and how that worked. And then right now in my current job, that's exactly what I have to do, just maybe on a more corporate level. Just making sure that I'm over communicating and making sure that things are getting done a certain way, having like a caliber or high caliber of work. I think that was also very key. When you're learning from your peers who have already worked in the workforce, and then maybe you're working with undergrads, you can kind of see different working styles. So that was also something that I learned about. Yeah, so probably communication skills was the biggest thing.
Those are pretty critical, and I think especially for our MSITM students who are really just excited about building and doing stuff with the code, they kind of underestimate the importance of developing those skills in the program, because no matter who you are, well, eventually you're going to have to talk to somebody and convince them or explain to them what it is that you're doing, or convince them that they need to invest in this and how it's going to be beneficial for the organization. So you mentioned your capstone project, keeping in mind that you likely signed an NDA. Please don't violate that. Is there anything that you can share about that? Because I think that the capstone project is a really unique experience that our students can participate in, and that helps bridge that gap between what you're learning in the classroom and what you might experience in the real world. So what could you share with us about that?
Yeah, so that was in our spring semester. And at that point, we were kind of focusing more on the management side of things. And I thought it was a really cool opportunity to just work on my project management skills, because we each got to pick a role that we wanted to do. So it was like a business analyst, or if you wanted to be more on the development side. So I picked the project management side. And I think it was reassuring to be able to work with a real life client and use some of the skills that we were working on in the previous semester and apply that. I'm trying to not say anything. It's kind of hard to describe it, but I would say it was a great experience.
Can you talk a little bit, like, what was the topic? Were you on a data engineering team? Were you on a data, like, what was the focus of your project?
It was more machine learning, and we were developing, yeah, I'm not sure like how to describe it, but it was machine learning related. Yeah, so that's pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. Do you remember how many students were on your team with you?
5.
And did you get to interact with your client regularly, or was it just sort of like once a month, or?
Yeah, we were actually very involved with our client. We had a great relationship with them. We probably talked to them almost every day. And then we met with them once a week just to check in on how we were doing with the development of our deliverable. And we would hop on calls to troubleshoot things that we didn't know what was or how to fix. And then we also got to talk with kind of their other teams where they got to talk, or they exposed us more to how they develop a product. And I thought that was really cool.
Awesome. Can you tell us what your favorite elective course was and why?
Yeah, so I got to do the digital health innovation class, and it's an MBA course. So that was a really cool opportunity because I always wanted to get my MBA, and this was kind of like I was cheating and just getting to take it. And in this, we got to do kind of like a mini capstone or mini internship. And it was with a healthcare venture capitalist. And we actually got to write a deal memo for a company or a startup that the investor was investing in. So that was a side of healthcare technology or healthcare business that I would have never had. So it was really cool to learn alongside other MBA students, and then also just have such a real life example similar to the capstone.
That sounds awesome. What do you think would be different about your career and experiences if you had not chosen to pursue an MSITM degree?
Yeah, so I would have gotten a master's in public health, and so I probably would still be in school. So those are usually 2 years. That's a big plus of MSITM. You're done in a year and you can start working. And I think my career trajectory would be different because I don't think my opportunities for consulting would have been as open for what I wanted to focus on. I think that just this management and IT program opens a lot of doors outside of maybe like a core science degree. So I could switch to product management. I could switch to maybe working for a startup if I wanted to. So it just keeps your options much more broad versus if I had focused more on a core science degree.
Do you have any advice for prospective students entering the program?
Yeah, so I would say to keep an open mind and not be afraid to learn from your peers. That is what I think really helped me in being successful in the program, and just contributing what you can, like working with your strengths. I think that is what will take you a long way. And same thing in a job. So those things, just stay true to yourself, and just keep an open mind and take advantage of being in grad school, because you're allowed to fail. But in the real world, it's a little bit more stressful to fail. So I would take advantage of that and just learning from your peers, because they have such a diverse background and have so much to offer.
I often tell students that the program is intense because it's only a year. How did you feel about it? Did you think it was intense? How would you describe it?
I would only say that it's intense because it's a year. So you kind of have to have perspective of, you're trying to do maybe like a 2-year degree in a year. So if you go in knowing that I'm going to be done in a year, but it's going to be hard and it's going to be worth it, then it's fine. And because you're in that cohort system, you have your peers again to lean on, because everyone's going through it and everyone's going to pass BDS. Like it's hard like while you're doing it, but it's not as bad when you're on the other side.
For those listening, BDS is business data science, and it's historically been sort of the hard class that is everyone goes through in the fall semester. Are there any sort of personal skills or traits that you think that you had that helped you manage? You know, when you're in it, it's easy to lose sight of, oh, right, it's really hard today because I'm doing 2 years of work in a year. Are there any skills to help you manage all of that?
Yeah, definitely Google Calendar, blocking off time to work on assignments, making sure that I was scheduling time to meet with my teams, and adding extra time in case we needed extra time. So really managing your schedule, and then also making sure that you're having fun and taking breaks, making sure you're getting sleep, exercising, eating healthy, all those basic things that you might forget when you're in school, but those things really contribute to just being healthy and being able to manage this intense program.
It is a lot. I think time management so that you can manage all those other things to keep yourself healthy, both physically and mentally, is critical, because if your brain isn't ready to go to class, then it's really hard to learn and absorb the information that you need in a short period of time. Well, we are almost at the end. Is there anything that you would like to share that I haven't sort of picked up on through our questions, for anyone who's listening and either learning about MSITM for the first time or really thinking about, is this a good path for me?
Yeah, so I would probably say apply. You have nothing to lose. You can just always submit that application, and maybe don't waste the opportunity to apply if you're kind of on the fence. I think everyone in my cohort was able to get a job out of the program, and they were really happy that they did the program. So, and I'm also very like living proof that, you know, the program works. So yeah, so I would say apply, and I would say, again, keep an open mind, and really use the resources that MSITM gives you to see what you want in a career. So because it opens up all of those doors, you kind of have the choice now, and you have the option now to pick and choose what job you want. So I think that's a great perk.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy day. to share your experience with us. I know this is invaluable to students who are thinking about the program because, you know, they can talk to me, but I have a very different perspective. I didn't have to take the classes and live and breathe all of the experiences and then see what happens on the other side. I can, you know, I have data, but it's really great to hear from your actual experience and how that worked out for you. So thank you again for taking the time to do that. And for those listening and who joined us today, if you want to chat some more, I have, I'm hosting coffee chat on Monday at 9:30 a.m. Central Time. So hopefully somehow you found out about this. I think we'll follow up and there should be a link in there and you can register. So I've got an hour for that. And then I also am doing a special special info session on the MSITM program specifically on Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time via Zoom as well. So love to see more of you and answer specific questions that you might have or anything that we didn't get to talk about today. So thank you, everyone. Thanks again, Debleena. It was good to see you.
Yeah, of course.
Have a safe Thursday. Bye.
Bye.